Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. The Level Cap Podcast is filmed in front of a live studio audience in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Manila, Philippines, and Chicago, the United States of Chicago.
That sounds right.
Absolutely. Oh, Laura, can you say and otherwise?
And otherwise.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Level Cap Podcast. Brad is gone, and therefore I have the full control of this entire shindig, which means I can bring on whoever the heck I want to replace Brad. And this week, I've replaced Brad with the ever amazing Laura. Total Havoc, Levito. I didn't say the wrong last name.
No, that was right. Levito, you got it. You got it that time.
Yes, I didn't say the wrong one. That's the important part.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. So, Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
All right, so just in case the listeners don't know who you are or have never met you, Laura, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I am Laura Levito, and I do graphic design and illustration and visual design and all sorts of stuff here at Level 99. So you've probably already seen stuff that I've done, even if you don't know it. Let's see, the very first thing that I did was Exceed Season 2 card templates. Those are me.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, man. So that means, like, when they get shipped to me here in the hellscape that is the Philippines, I will be touching your babies, essentially, right?
Okay, all right. Well, now you made it weird, but yeah.
That's not my fault. That's yours. That's your fault.
Fair enough. Yeah. Those are my babies. The fruits of my labor will be sent directly to you, Marco.
Yeah, indeed. So anything else that you've done, actually?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. That was the first thing. I'm trying to think in chronological order here. I did card frames and like the general overall look of all of them for Temporal Odyssey. I did all the stuff on that Kickstarter page too. I did Professor Treasure. Not the illustrations for him. Those were Fontes. I did the card templates for those. BattleCon Online, the UI, and all of the graphic design for that. I've done some 7th Cross stuff already. And then most recently, Imperial Spells and Steam has been taking up all of my time. So that
Speaking of which,
yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast, Imperial Spells and Steam is currently on Kickstarter, so back that stuff.
Which means by this point, when you hear this, I will have already lost my mind.
Why would you have lost your mind, Laura? Why?
Because right now I'm in like panic mode of getting everything ready for the campaign. So there's just like a lot that goes into it. And I'm a planner, so I like to make sure that like nothing can surprise us when it goes live, but there's going to be stuff that surprises us.
Oh, see, we are very opposite kinds of people then, because I'm going like, things are going to pop up unexpectedly, so why plan?
Oh, no, I live my life in like to-do lists and spreadsheets. Really
that
like,
kind of organized.
Yeah, really like meticulously color-coded spreadsheets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what do yellow ones mean?
I mean, it depends on the spreadsheet, but usually that means something's in progress.
The mere fact that you have color coding in general, goodness, that just speaks to how different we are as people. Because if you ask me what I had to do in any given day, I'd be like, yeah, here's the stuff I need to do. And you're like, where are the due dates for that? It's like, I have an email trail about it. That's pretty much it. Right, like, I know what I need to do. I know the general time frame of when they need to be done. But if you ask me, like, what specific date at what specific time, or what's the current status, my answer would always be, let me get back to you in 2 minutes.
Oh, man. I mean, that buys you some time, so that's good. No, I'm like a crazy planner and note taker. So, like I have daily meetings with Brad during the week, and I'll have, like, Keep open. And like Google Keep, if you use that, and I will take notes about even just the.
You honestly think?
No, you don't. Of course you don't. You know what it is. Well, I love it. It's wonderful. And I will actually like take notes during our meeting because If I don't write it down, it's going to be gone forever, and then I will not remember what we talked about, and who knows what will happen then.
I see. Well, okay, like, I guess we're just very different people, and that's fine. We have our own workflows.
You still get your stuff done, right?
Sure.
Eventually.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's just say that I do. Okay, no, but in all seriousness, we have a wonderful docket for all of you listening today. You know, we're gonna talk about the stuff we've been doing this week. We're gonna be talking about certain things that Laura's been doing. We're also probably gonna be answering some questions that the listeners and our community members sent for Laura specifically. I think this is one of the first times I've ever had a special guest on the show wherein we've had questions from the community directed towards our guest specifically, because usually it's just like, you know, when Cameron comes on, it's usually just, you know, I just pick whatever questions because it kind of applies to him anyway.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
Well,
so it's going to be very interesting.
I like to think it's because of the mystery that surrounds me, right? Everyone has questions.
Are you like that shonen character? Like when somebody asks you, like, who are you? And you just like cryptically smile and then turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And then walk away.
I either have sunglasses on or like my hair is covering half my face or something like that, right?
And then you tip a fedora at them or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
you know, we'll put all of the accessories on me.
So you have shades and glasses. Completely different things,
Yeah.
right? And then you have a fedora, you have a scarf, you have bangs, you have fingerless gloves and regular gloves.
Yeah,
so you have gloves and then...
Yeah, I probably have like a coat with the collar popped too, so that I could like hide my mouth behind it, right?
Oh no, this sounds like a horrible OC. Let's skip over this and go to the next segment. Welcome to this segment called What Have You Been Doing? What We've Been Doing. And usually we would ask, Laura, I ask you this week, what have you been doing? Because I really want to know.
Oh man. Well, this week, prepping for Imperial stuff, but we don't want to talk about work, right?
Yeah,
let's
no.
ignore
This segment's all about talking about stuff that isn't necessarily about work, because work is gonna be like the other half of this entire show.
Okay, let's see. What else have I been doing? Streaming. Been doing a lot of streaming on Twitch.
That's still work, Laura.
Okay, but it's not really, because I do it like at night and drink wine while doing it, so it's not work anymore.
Just because you drink wine while doing it? Is that what constitutes what's work or not?
I mean, I don't drink wine during the day, so sure. Okay, no, what else have I been doing? I have been rewatching JoJo because
JoJo's Circus, the critically acclaimed kids cartoon about a clown.
Yes. No, I'm currently rewatching season 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Diamond is unbreakable.
Diamond is unbreakable. Yeah. Wait, why are you watching JoJo? I mean, aside from the fact that it's a decent show.
So, there's this thing around our house where most of the time we're not actually watching TV, but we like have something on anyway. Usually it's because like I'm working and I just need a distraction in the background. But so we always have something on, and JoJo is usually our default if we can't think of anything else to put on, because it's wonderful. But season 3, I've been trying to actually like pay more attention to this time around, because that was my least favorite season. And so I'm trying to like give it another chance. And it's actually better on subsequent rewatches.
Really?
Yeah. So part of the problem is, so have you seen JoJo? Please say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. I've seen JoJo in the same way you've seen Saturday morning cartoons. Okay. You haven't watched the entirety of them. I've seen parts.
That's
I mean,
fair.
like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, so season 2, which is part 3, it's very confusing, is my favorite. And like, as far as I'm concerned, it is a masterpiece, and it should be considered precious and wonderful. And so like nothing can beat that. So then like to follow up with season 3, which was like totally different and like a really different tone, the art was done differently. I was just like, what is this? This is not the JoJo that I know and love. And so I just kind of disregarded it at first, which was unfair because JoJo never lets you down. So
Okay.
So I've started that over, and it is much better. I've realized that it's like the halfway point that I start to enjoy it a lot more. I just gotta like get over these are not the characters from before.
These are not my babies.
Yes.
These are not my sons.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Who's your favorite character in JoJo Diamond is Unbreakable?
Oh, um, Roham, the artist.
See, I don't. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you had to say the art. Like, that's the thing about anime, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no. And so also what you should know before we get into anything with characters is that I am notoriously terrible at remembering names of things. Names of characters. I don't know names of like actors, movies, song names, band names. I'm just like bad at that. But if you describe it, I'll know what you're talking about.
I see.
So
This doesn't bode very well
no,
as the person who probably has to I don't know, like make the assets for individual characters in
Well,
a fighting game.
I have references for that. So and
Oh,
also,
that's
come
why you
on.
keep all of your notebooks
No one
in
can
your
pronounce
notes.
no one can pronounce any of these names anyway, so you're gonna have to like I'm gonna have to look it up anyway, so
It's so true.
yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like on one occasion, I swear, like in the same episode, I asked Brad to pronounce a character's name. And in two different times, without hesitation, he pronounces it differently.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
and then, of course, he always says afterwards, it doesn't really matter how you pronounce it. Okay.
If it
I
would be nice to
guess.
have like a canon pronunciation, you know?
I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, ironically speaking, some of the characters that have like the least disputed pronounced names are actually the Kaons, and that's absurd in
Mhm.
my opinion.
Mhm.
Absolutely absurd that we all canonically agree on how Irialandradaya Morella is pronounced, but we can't agree on what like how you pronounce like Kajia. Like, come on.
Yeah. Who's the one I always have a really hard time with is Kadath?
It's
that,
Kadath.
Is that how you say it? For some reason
like the H.P. Lovecraft thing?
Oh, okay. It could be like the Chicago in me. I always want to say Kadath, which is wrong.
Kadath?
Kadath. Yeah.
Like
no.
it's Kadath, right? Like the
Yeah.
the ancient city in like Lovecraftian lore.
Okay, but I have to think about it before I say it, is the point.
So the
I don't know. It's no
Okay.
good, is all I'm saying. It's no good.
what's a Chicago accent like?
So everybody gives me a hard time for my like really hard vowels, right?
Okay.
Like obnoxious vowels. So like, okay, I've lived in Chicago my whole life. Nobody says sausage. Like that's what everybody I feel like thinks of with the Chicago accent. And it's from that
Okay.
Saturday Night Live skit about like the Chicago duh bearers guys. The duh thing is totally legit. So instead of saying like them and their, people saying dem and dare. That's absolutely a thing. But it's like our vowels. So like people will say Chicago instead of Chicago. I say Chicago now. But yeah, I remember a story when my sister, when she did like a study abroad thing and went to England for like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, and they ended up meeting these boys, as you do, right? When you are traveling the world, in a bar, and they wouldn't stop like laughing at my sister in the way she said vodka. Because it was like vodka, as opposed to, you know, like, I probably do it too, but, you know, the way other people say vodka. So anyway, it tends to be...
vodka?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently we say it differently. I remember I went out to Maine for the first time, and we were ordering dinner, and everybody like from Maine was laughing at me and made me order our appetizers because we were getting calamari. See, now I'm thinking about it. But they like found it so hilarious. I think I said calamari or something, and that was like the funniest thing they'd clearly ever heard before.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's our vowels, you know, so that's where I get Kadath instead of Kadath, I guess.
I see.
I don't know.
To me, like the two pronunciations you just said sound virtually the same.
Well, apparently not. Apparently not around here. I get laughed at. It's terrible.
I see. That's interesting. I mean, like I don't have the typical Filipino accent.
Yeah.
I mean, like I have. So there are two kinds of Filipino accents. There's like the posh, fancy Filipino accent, which is the one I have, and then there's the like more common Filipino accent. So like instead of pronouncing it vodka or vadka or whatever, you pronounce it vodka like that.
It seems like harder, you know.
The Filipino is what we call a malutong language. It means like very crispy, very hard. Like even the word malutong is very like crispy, very hard, right?
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like Japanese. actually,
Yeah.
because all of our words are comprised of consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel.
Okay.
All of them.
Really?
Yeah. I think
That's-
there's certain exceptions wherein they end with an N or an NG,
Huh.
but that's it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. I mean, like, Filipino culture aside, it's pretty interesting. Language barriers, blah blah blah. So whatever, man. I always think I don't have an accent, but people always tell me I do.
You do, but it's
So-
not super strong, you know?
I mean, like, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Because I grew up in a different place.
Right, yeah. But that's like, so here, I mean, like, you talk to a lot of people from the US, I'm sure. And you can kind of hear the different, it wouldn't be like dialects. Maybe it is. Is that the right usage of
No,
that
that's
term?
not
No,
the right
it's not
usage of
dialects.
that word.
No, it's just
dialect
accents, I
means
guess.
entirely different language.
right. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's like variations on the same language. Well, you know what? Sometimes Southern accents sound like a different dialect to me.
To be fair.
So, I mean, like, you can tell when somebody's from New York, versus Chicago versus, anywhere in the South. Though it's actually
Is New York the one that goes like, "Hey, I'm walking here"? Is that one? Is that one?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And like around Boston is the Boston. And
Which one's the Brooklyn Rage
Oh,
or something?
that's going to be
Yu-Gi-Oh!
like
Bridge.
closer to just like the New York one.
I
The
see.
example I always give for like East Coast thing is because I had a friend who had family from Boston, and his aunt would always say, "Get in the car with your Uncle Mark." Like, well, how can you even discern what that person is trying to say to you? Anyway.
I mean, I could totally understand what you just said.
Right?
Get in the car with your Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or,
Get in the car with your Uncle Mark.
right. So I find stuff like that really interesting. The last time one of my friends was visiting from Texas, we spent like 2 hours on the internet looking up like weird sayings from different parts of the country. And just like,
give me one.
okay,
That's interesting.
So a fizzy carbonated sweet drink. What do you call that?
A soda.
Okay, so you call it soda. In Chicago, we call it pop. And
Ah.
I mean, it's kind of a
Wait.
It's kind of a Midwest.
Are you
thing.
asking me or are you asking like Philippine people in general?
Okay, so in general, speak for the Philippines right now, Marco.
Okay, not as a personal person. It's a soft drink.
Okay, so really, that's like what people most regularly call it is soft drink.
Yeah, soft drink.
That's really interesting because that's not like a thing here. We have pop in the Midwest. We have soda most other places. Interestingly, in the South, there are places where they refer to everything as Coke. So like even if you actually
Nice.
want like a Sprite, you say, "Can I get a Coke?" and then you say you want a Sprite. And then my favorite one I think is cold drink. I would like cold drink.
Cold drink?
That could mean literally anything. But no,
It could be. It's a cold anything,
I
right?
know,
Like a cold
right?
beverage.
Yeah.
Ironically, I figured out very recently that water is not a beverage.
What?
So that, by definition, a beverage is anything you can drink that is not water.
Okay, no. I'm just going to ignore that. I don't
Have I
agree.
ruined your worldview? Have
doing
I
it.
ruined your
No.
worldview?
Mm-mm.
Oh, not doing it. No.
I disagree. So anyway, I love stuff like that. Like there are things with we call things kitty corner if it's like on the opposite corner from you. So if you think of a square and think of like the two corners that are diagonal from each other, those are kitty
Ah,
corner for us. In the South, they're catty corner.
Caddy corner.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I don't know. I'm a nerd.
Oh, that sounds. Hey, we're all nerds here.
It's true.
I mean, like,
it's true.
I like language differences. I like analyzing certain Filipino words and blah blah blah.
That's cool.
I mean, like, I don't use Filipino a lot in my daily life. Actually, if you ask people, like, my first language is probably English,
Really?
and Filipino is my second one. Yeah, my parents talk to me in English all the time. I talk in English 90% of the time. So.
And was that true for like your childhood too? Like, did you grow up just speaking English?
Oh heck yes! I failed all of my Filipino classes basically.
Oh, that's great.
No, that's not great.
No, that's so. I had a friend growing up who was Latina, and she was so terrible in Spanish classes because it's really formalized, So even though she spoke fluent Spanish at home, it was totally different when like you're suddenly faced with like an exam on exactly how you're supposed to conjugate everything, you know?
It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Like, I honestly think that native speakers of a specific language are the worst at that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, I took the SATs once, okay, because I needed to like apply to some foreign colleges, whatever. My parents forced me to, and I had to do like a language, like English aptitude test or something, part of the SATs, right? And there were some questions there, and I was like, how are these even hard questions?
Right.
Like, it's literally just asking me to spell the word separated. Like, why is that hard?
Right.
And then I realized because to a native speaker, they always use that word but never have to spell it. So they don't know that it's separated and not separated, right? It's an A, not an E. But because of people's slang, they don't. Yeah, so like I appreciate that because like in Filipino, look, I will tell you 3 words and tell me if their starting parts sound different.
Oh, God.
Labing isa, labing dalawa, labing tatlo.
No.
They are all spelled differently, apparently.
Why?
Because whatever.
Yeah, because why not? I really love languages, and I went through this period. It was actually when I was working at GameStop, because there's a lot of downtime when you're working at GameStop, as it turns out. And I just decided I was going to learn a bunch of different languages. So I started by like stealing my boyfriend at the time, stealing his like Japanese textbooks and like going through those. But then I discovered that on the DS they made this series of games that was like my Japanese coach and my Chinese coach and whatever it was. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just play these while I'm at work, obviously. And I decided I wanted to like at least learn a little bit of Chinese. And Chinese is really interesting because it's all about tone. So like the word ma. I'm sure I'm going to get these meanings wrong, so like somebody can always correct me. It's been a long time.
Please.
But there are basically the word ma is different if you say ma versus ma and also ma'a. Those are all different things.
Oh no.
And I'm like, how do you, and one of them means like cow and the other one means like mother or something like that. And I'm like, I feel like that's a dangerous mistake to make.
Especially with your mother-in-law,
right.
I assume.
See? I'm sure I have those meanings wrong. I feel like one means cow. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a long time. But with things like tone like that, I don't know. It's too much for me.
Gosh. I see. Okay, let me give you something for Filipino then, like so that you can spout this stupid trivia to your friends whenever they ask you about languages.
Awesome.
The Filipino word for love is mahal. Like when you love something, you minamahal mo. You know,
mahal.
All right, mahal. No, not mahal.
Oh.
It's mahal. See, the thing about
no,
Filipino is that there's
that.
no elongated. There are no elongated vowels. They're all short. So mahal, right?
Okay.
It is also the same word for expensive.
Oh.
So we have a saying where it's mahal magmahal, which means it's expensive to love.
Okay.
There you go.
And the word is like spelled exactly the same.
Exactly the same word. It's not a synonym. It's a homonym.
Homonym.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
Oh wait, is it homonym or a homonym?
It's a homonym.
Okay. Sorry, because like Homo erectus.
No,
or
it's the same prefix.
Right?
You're right.
Yeah. Okay. I've only ever read that word, huh?
You put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Whatever. Laura.
Yeah. See, there you go.
All right, I did it. All right, okay. So what I've been doing, we've talked about languages for too long. I'm just gonna skim over my part. What I've been doing is playing Monster Prom. Yay!
Oh, nice.
Yeah, have you know about Monster Prom?
Yeah, I want to say Alice is playing it too, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so to the listeners who don't know, Monster Prom is a multiplayer competitive dating sim. It's a very interesting game. I've found it's very graphic though, not in like the CGs, but in the text. Like certain characters like commit murder or whatever.
Oh wow!
Right, and it's all drawn like cutesy, whatever. Like, cause the thing is, like, half of the characters are like demons, poltergeists, or medusas, and like demon kings and like devils or whatever. So like to them, as like a typical, it's a monster high school or monster college, whatever, right? High school, because you don't go to prom in college.
Yeah,
what the heck?
Yeah, prom is high school.
Okay, so like these people or these monsters are essentially like teens, but they're in this monster world, right? Like, so to them, a typical Sunday afternoon would be like, hey, like, I totally beheaded this guy. Oh, cool. Nice job,
Nice.
Karen. Yeah, nice. Kind of like that. Like, I think that's just the setting of the world. It's absurd. And the entire thing is absolutely absurd. I find it to be hilarious, the fact that it's a competitive game.
That
My
sounds
friends
awesome.
still don't understand.
Is it on
Yeah, it is.
Steam or what is it on?
Heck yeah, it's on Steam,
okay.
and you can play it online. You can competitively play it online and play with other people. It's pretty fun. I think one thing I really like about it is that there are 4-player characters, and they're each basically color-coded, for multiplayer games. And when you pick a character, you get to pick pronouns. Hey, that's great.
Nice, that is good.
Yeah, that's great. You get to pick your name, you get to pick your pronoun, and you get to pick whatever your character looks like. I mean, there's 4 preset models. 2 of them are female appearing, and 2 of them are male appearing.
Oh.
But no matter what you pick, you can always pick your pronouns.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, kudos.
We
right?
need more of that
That's
in games, right?
Yeah, we need more options to be able to insert yourself into your character.
Mhm.
That's just the way it is. Like, I want if I want my character to appear male and be called a they, why not?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's my character. I
It
can do whatever I
literally-
want with my character.
It changes nothing about the game, It just makes your personal experience better. So why not?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I mean, like, for years and years and years, people have been playing characters that are of different sex than what they are in real life, right? So, like, whatever, man. I just want to make complex and cool characters, okay?
Let me live my life.
Let me live my life, Mom! Okay, no, so that pretty much does it for this segment. We went a little bit too long about the languages, but that's fine. You guys learned something. That's important in the Level Cap podcast. Learning. So next up, we'd like to ask Laura's segment. So welcome to the pipeline, where we talk about some cool development stuff behind the scenes and maybe just give you a little bit of sneak peek of stuff. Laura, can you please talk to us about some certain upcoming projects and certain things you want to talk about, especially in the development of Imperial Spells and Steam? So mostly this is going to be asking you about what do you usually do, what's your process, especially for Spells and Steam, right? Like, I don't know, 80% of this game is iconography, so you have your job cut out for you.
That's been a huge challenge. So Imperial has been a interesting project. I started full time on it in terms of try to ignore everything else that's happening as much as possible and just only think about trains. In mid-December. So when everybody else took their holiday breaks, I just worked a bunch. Which is fine because, I work at home, so I don't mind it too much.
Mm-hmm.
To basically try to get the first version of everything done. A lot of that stuff has since been redone, which is fine because that's just part of games, right?
Iterating.
And so we have these complex player boards that have been done and redone, and we have these engine cards, and then we have, captains and specialists and all of this stuff, and, the terrain board that's kind of the general map board has been that's what I looked forward to doing the most. But I feel like most of my time has been spent just making icons. Because the whole thing with Imperial is that we want to be able to publish it in different countries. So in an effort to make that production cost lower, we want to have as few pieces as possible be translated, because then they have to be printed separately, and packaged separately. So we wanted to depend on the rulebook a lot, so that we can really focus on making that a really good translation, and then everything else just be done with icons. So that's why, for all of you folks that have been wonderful and have been playtesting on Tabletop Simulator and stuff, I'm sure it could be very frustrating to just stare at this and be like, what do these icons even mean? But there's a reason why we're trying to, force you through that. So, icons have been frustrating because at the start, I remember when Brad gave me the first spreadsheet with all of the specialist and engine rules text, I just kind of stared at it and I was like, I think it is a very bad idea, Brad, to try to do all of these with icons. And I said that very seriously. And he was like, I think we can do it. And I was like, I mean, I'm gonna have faith in you, but I feel like this is crazy. But he made it work, and obviously there are some some rules with their icons that we're still trying to like tweak and change things. And there have been times where he's come up with rules that I've tried to do the icons for, and it's just been like too much. Like, we can't do it. You'd have to rely on the rule book too much, you know, because we want you to be able to play through this and eventually learn, you know, the base icons, and then just be able to infer as much as possible. And obviously, the more you play, the less you'll have to look back at the reference. Hopefully, that's the dream, right? And we're getting there, you know. But it's just a lot of like paring down and figuring out how simple we can make things while still making them interesting gameplay wise. You know, because you want that degree of complexity, but it's also like, well, how many different icons can we force people to learn? Not that many, you know, because there was a point where I looked and I was like, Brad, we have 50 icons. Like, I cannot, in good faith as a designer, put out a game with this many icons in it. Like, people won't learn them, you know? So, yeah, it's gone through a lot of changes and is still going through some, but the play testing that everybody's been doing and filling out those forms about their TTS games has been super helpful. And we're really looking forward to seeing those at the end to kind of like compare and contrast how overpowered is Seth, really.
Oh, come on. Come on, guys.
Come on.
Good
boy, Seth. He's not that overpowered. No, so, I mean, we want everything to feel strong and, you know, make you excited to find those combos that work really well. But yeah, icons, man. Icons.
So in the end, how many icons do we currently have in the game?
I can actually look that up.
Okay.
It's not nearly as many as we started with. So
that's good.
I could tell you that much for sure. Let's see.
So when we played this game on stream, link for which can be found in the description down below. When we played this on stream, let me ask you, did we see all of the icons in that stream?
Mm-hmm.
All of them?
Yeah.
And it's not that much, actually, because I remember a lot of them.
Yeah, so there's 7 for the different types of terrain, and those are pretty easy to learn. And then there's a variant with a train track on each one of those. So I kind of count those as the same thing, right? Because it's like forest, or it's forest with the track. So, all right, cool. Then there's city, network, competitor, network, edge. Let's see, there's 4, 7, 14... 21.
21?
28, 29, 30. It's
30.
a quick
so
count.
almost like 3/5,
yeah,
right, of the original count. That's not bad at all.
It's really not. Because I tried to do things with like variations, right? So we have like the engine icon, and then if it has a little gear in the middle, that means activate that engine. If it has a little plus in the middle, that means gain an engine. You know, so trying to do as much stuff like that as possible, and as opposed to trying to call activate its own thing, when really it's just an action that you do to an engine. So like combine them, you know. And then a lot of our other icons, like we have the different specialist icons for each different one, and then we have refresh, captain, and engineer. Well, okay, that's just the captain and engineer icons with a little arrow on it, you know. So we tried to combine as much stuff as possible. So it's a much more approachable amount. Like if you look at all of them together, they feel like they make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's
indeed.
We have a couple of changes that, man, for the last like 2 days, I've been like, I swear I'm going to get the rule book out today. But by the time you hear this on Friday, a new rule book will be out. That has like,
don't make promises you can't keep. Fam.
No, it has to, because the Kickstarter is going to be live, so it's got to be up to date. I'll stay up all night. I don't care. I've done it before. So there will be like that hopefully last cleanup on some of the things to simplify them a little bit more. So yeah, icons have really been the big thing. The player boards have also been a thing that have gone through a million iterations. And that was the player boards and the engine cards have both changed a lot. Like to the point where I had all of them at like 95% complete and then started over because we changed so much about. Yeah. But it's okay. I've been able to like reuse a lot of those assets, and again, it's just like a thing that happens, you know. It's a cool part of the process when I look at everything, you know, to see how far stuff you know, like how far it's come and how much stuff has changed over time. So, yeah, it's been a lot of work. and I've gone through periods where I've been like, trains, no more trains, and I just like have nightmares about them.
You get mad at Trey.
Yeah, right. And I curse his name. No, but then I go through times where I'm like, this game's going to be great. Like, I'm really happy with how it's shaping up. Visually, I feel like it's finally really coming together. I'm really excited to see everything with Noko's new character art in it. Because if you've played the TTS mod, like all the specialist art and stuff like that is, I mean, you've probably noticed is stuff from previous games.
BattleCon.
Yeah. She's doing all new stuff for all of those characters, and I've gotten to see some sneak peeks at some of the ones she has done already, and they look pretty cool. So that'll just kind of like help bring it to life a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
Having characters in a game just does that. People respond well to other people, as it turns out.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was actually, we went through a lot of development without having like character carts. So we were just going to do different things where like you gain an ability. So you gain one of those abilities that's on a specialist now, you know, so you would get that, but we weren't representing it with a character. And I feel like that was a nice little like light bulb moment. It was probably Brad. I'll give him credit anyway. And it's good, right? Give him the credit there. It certainly wasn't me. Well, I could tell you that much.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he was like, well, what if we just do these as character cards instead? And it was like, oh yeah, that makes it feel a lot more like a world, you know, and a lot more like this is your company and these are the people that work at this company.
Yeah, that's true. Like some of my favorite characters are like those quote unquote side characters that we have. Like you guys have Milton Bartz in the game.
Yeah.
You have in Argent we have Hai, who's my waifu, and then we have like, hey, don't laugh at my waifu. Oh, you're coughing at my waifu. Even worse.
Well, first I laughed and then I coughed. The laugh came first.
That's wow. Such a blow.
No.
Such a blow.
I'd never laugh at a waifu.
Okay. So here's his last question for this segment. What's your favorite icon that you've made for any of Level 99 games as games?
Oh.
Our favorite design, whatever.
No, okay, so I'm staring at our icons right now. I really like the gain mana icon. And I know that seems like silly and tiny. Yeah, the little guy who's mining. I mean, he's not a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a little
pickaxe.
Yeah, and those changed a lot because initially we called it reclaim mana. No, not reclaim mana. Well, shoot, now I'm not. Refine mana or something. And then we ended up just going with gain because that makes a lot more sense. Or, like, feels more natural.
Mine mana?
No, we didn't do that. Didn't take the obvious route. We did refine.
I guess, you know, Brad's not one to take the obvious route for pronunciations either.
True. No, I really like how that icon turned out. It's one of those that, you know, when you see it blown up bigger, there's little details to it, but it still reads well at a small size. So I like that one.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I personally like the quote unquote any terrain type icon that you made.
The wild one?
It's it's pretty cool because it's basically just a super cut of all the other ones, right?
So,
and I'm like, hey, that's pretty useful because most people what they just do is like they give a blank card and put like a wild symbol on it or something, right? Like, or they make an entirely new symbol to indicate this means any other symbol.
Yeah. So it's also
I like the fact that it's
what works well to do it this way instead, and this was a conscious decision. I swear it didn't happen on accident. So it has 6 color slices because it's only valid on those 6 terrain types. You can't use it on Wasteland. And so like it's a nice reminder of when you have one of those build on any terrain, it's any terrain but Wasteland because you don't see purple on it. You know, so you'll actually be happy then because one of the changes I'm making to our icons is the edge hex and the build on any terrain anywhere icon. Both of those will have that wild background now. Again, to kind of serve as that reminder of it's not Wasteland.
I see. Okay. I like that. I like that icon. I don't know. Wild,
good.
Whatever. That
I call it wild.
Why?
It's like a wild card, you know? Anyway.
Persona. Okay, anyway. Let's end this segment. Let's move on to our final segment. Welcome to the 99 Questions segment where we bring you hot baked news straight from Laura into us when we will give you the answers straight from Laura's face. I don't know. I lost my touch. Let's ask you the first question here. Number one, Laura, we would like to know, what is your experience in or education in art design?
Oh man. Okay, so I have a master's of science in biomedical visualization,
Fancy.
which sounds super fancy, but it's basically just
Yeah.
medical illustration and animation. So while in grad school for that, I focused a lot on design, which was not what most of my my classmates were doing. They were mostly doing like 3D modeling and animation stuff, but I learned pretty quickly I don't want to do that. So I focused a lot on design, branding, and then game design too, as a little side note there. But through graphic design, right, especially in the medical field, what you have to learn, right, is how to take super complex processes, because think about the stuff that's going on in your body like all the time, and simplify that into something that anyone can understand. Or, you know,
Are you one of those people who makes those like medical infographics or something?
I have in the past, yes.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
The
I see.
like things you see in your doctor's office, the illustrations in anatomy and biology books and stuff like that. Yeah, it's somebody that did that probably has my same degree. It's a really small field,
Oh.
but so yeah, it's, while I'm not directly using my degree anymore, right? Because I was like, hey, games are a lot more fun and I'd rather be doing that. I got, you know, intense training on how to make complex things seem simple. And I feel like there's actually a big connection between that and games. You know, because especially like looking at the iconography we've had to produce, like, okay, well, here's this effect that we're trying to do. Like, how easily can we say that and make it so that anybody can understand it regardless of language? So like in school and right afterwards, when I was doing more work in the medical field, we had to take into consideration things like, okay, well, who's your audience? Is it elderly people? Is it people who English is their second language? Is it children? Is it, you know, so based on what the audience was, be able to make something that they could understand, or that could be explained to them in a way that they understood it. So yeah, that's my main design training kind of came from there. But I had been working as a graphic designer for, oh my God, a really long time. Probably since like during my undergrad. My undergrad was in kinesiology, totally unrelated to what I'm doing now, but
What's kinesiology?
Kinesiology is literally like this study of movement. It's the way your body moves. So again, back to like,
man, did you want to become a doctor or something?
I mean, like I debated it, but I hate school. So I shouldn't say like
and
that.
being a doctor means you have to be in school for
exactly
10 years.
I don't learn well in a classroom setting. I'm very much like an independent learner. And so I was the jerk student who would like show up and sleep through class and then like get an A on the test. Teachers
Don't worry.
hated me.
I mean, like, I've done. What was the worst thing I did? I once. So, you know the game Duelist? Have you played Duelist? Okay. So, basically, I had a history class about like world history or something like that. I would walk into that class every day, bring out my laptop, and rank up in Duelist until I got to legend.
Nice. No, not me. I would just sleep. And then I would like leave class and then go to work most of the time. I worked full time like all through college and everything. And then also did freelance.
How are you not dead?
I don't know. I didn't sleep much. I'm trying to make up for it now. Now I'm like 12 hours of sleep. Yes, please. Okay.
Hell yes. Hell yeah. All right. I see. Okay. I can't get over it. I can't imagine how you're not dead. So okay, but let's move on to the next question. What's your story? How'd you end up doing art for board games? Well, I guess we covered that, but how'd you end up doing art for level 99 games?
That's actually a really fun story. So when I decided to forego the health industry and just focus on trying to do stuff I loved more, my first step was I did a mentorship with Noah Bradley, who is a magic artist, actually. So got to be buds with Noah, and he kind of helped me figure out what it was I actually wanted to do. So I focused a lot on like environment art because I realized that I like that a lot more than like character design and stuff. So I was kind of trying to build out my portfolio in environment art as I was looking online for just like freelance gigs I could take, right? Just like trying to do stuff. And I responded to a DeviantArt post, right? Real
Nice.
classy. That was looking for a character illustrator for a game that was coming out, and I was like, all right, well, let's just try this. So I applied for this job, not having a single character design in my portfolio, and got it. I somehow managed to just convince them that it was a good idea.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so did the first piece for them, and they were like, hey, this looks great. Do you want to just do everything for the game? Because our templates look like trash. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I did all of the art, all of the character art, the templates, the rulebook, the packaging, literally everything. You know, the whole like visual design.
What game was this?
That was Witch Hunt. So I was part of the Kickstarter for Witch Hunt when it was just 3 of us that were doing it. And near the end of our campaign, I don't know how that all went down. All I know is that Level 99 ended up publishing Witch Hunt for us. And I remember Kyle, the designer of that game, coming to me and being like, are you okay with this? And I was like, I mean, it's your game. Like, yeah, like you do whatever you want. I just want to make sure I retain the rights to like sell prints of my characters and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, absolutely. It's totally fine. Level 99 is really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Okay. Like everything's fine with me. So they went forward and did that. And then, you know, game got made. Everything was wonderful. And then months later, got an email from Brad asking if I would want to help out on 7th Cross. And he pitched it to me as a gothic horror type setting like Castlevania and Helsing. And I was like, sold, obviously.
Obviously. So who wouldn't be, right?
Right? So the very first thing I started working on was the logo. And then really quickly after that, he asked me to do the templates for Exceed Season 2. Just to get right in with 7th Cross. And then that, you know, kind of kept going well. And I lived happily ever after with Level 99. I was doing all through last year. I was basically just a contract worker. And then I started full-time in January of this year. So now I'm all about Level 99 all the time. So it worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
I got paid very little for Witch Hunt. You know, I put a ton of time into that game, but it was worth it in the end because, I mean, that was my first like published game with my name on it. And it ended up getting me this job, really. So it worked out well.
Hell yeah.
Good story.
That's great.
Right? So DeviantArt isn't all bad.
Story. hey, it's not just Sonic OCs. You know what I mean?
It's just mostly Sonic OCs. Right?
Oh my god. I mean, that's true. You know, somebody, I think it was Kat freaking saw like Marco the Hedgehog, and I will never live it down. I didn't make this OC, but like somebody made an OC called Marco the Hedgehog, and I guess I'll never live it down.
Marco, you don't have to hide it.
I did not have a Sonic OC. Like you can blame me for having a My Little Pony OC. You can blame me for role playing as My Little Pony characters, but you will never see anything remotely related to Sonic.
Sonic is going too far. We have to draw the line.
Too far. I have to draw the line somewhere in the sand, dude. Oh, man. And Sonic is that line. Yep. I will never cross it. Oh my gosh. Okay, last one. What's a minor BCO UI detail that just bugs you? And conversely, what's a minor BCO UI detail that you really like, but you feel like nobody seems to notice?
Oh man. Okay, so that's actually really hard because this is going to shock you. I have a spreadsheet of all of like the tiny things that need to be fixed in BattleCon.
Okay, give me the first thing that comes to your mind, Laura. We ain't got whole spreadsheet day.
Okay, all right. So this kind of relates to part 2 actually, because like the details that no one seems to notice is kind of hard because those things like that make me happiest are the things that like if I'm doing a good job as a designer, like you wouldn't notice because they're things I'm supposed to be doing, right? So
okay.
If you look at my mock-ups for things, like everything is on this perfect grid. Like things that don't seem like it's always really exciting as a designer when you can get things to align, even though it's difficult to make them do that. I don't know how else to explain this. So like we made that friends list panel, right? And the way that things align there, they actually like align to spots on the header where like currency is and where your username is. And like, it's really satisfying when I'm working on that stuff and I like throw guides on and like everything just goes right up to that guide. Oh, it's so nice. So
I see.
That's nothing that anyone would notice because like you're just playing it in game, but everything does align. And so like the details that just bug me are we've I mean you guys have experienced this. Things have been very incremental in BattleCon. And so like Seki, who is wonderful, goes and implements stuff. And so 2 months later, things may change. And on my end, in my mock-ups, I'm adjusting like the header so that it matches our new stuff, right? And that doesn't always get passed to him. So he implements the new things, but does not like move stuff to the new location. And so I have this list of like, fine, when we get to the end where we feel like this is where everything's staying, then I'll say like, okay, Seki, I'm sorry, but now you're going to have to take a few hours and move a bunch of stuff. But it'll be so much better in the end.
Don't worry, Laura. Do not worry about Cameron's ability to be able to work on this game, because the man doesn't like.
He's superhuman.
How long do you? I mean, I don't understand. I also don't understand how he's still alive, right?
Yeah,
like,
especially because he like forgets to eat. So I never do that. I enjoy food.
I mean, who would forget to eat?
Right?
My gosh.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, like but seriously, like Cameron works like 14 hours, 16 hours straight. Like
I don't get it.
How?
I don't get it.
Why?
Oh.
I don't get it either. I mean, like, man.
So
anyway,
yeah, lots of little details of like pixel movements, and the big thing that I'm sure everyone knows is the hand viewer. So little story about the hand viewer, why you only see 3 cards on each side at a time. Is that when I was originally doing the mock-ups for this game, I had never played before, and all I had to work off was like the original alpha for BattleCon Online, and it only ever showed 3 cards on each side. And so I was like, okay, well that's it. That's what you get. Little did I know, you can have like 8 cards on one side. There's some character that does that, I don't know who, and like 6 on the other. And I remember realizing that for the first time and just being like, this is all going to need to be redone. So we're kind of in the process of doing that now. There are a lot of cool things that we have planned that will ideally change and make players' lives easier, and also let us insert a little bit of flavor. So those will be the little things that I really like that no one seems to notice. They're going to be little like character things that'll be fun, hopefully. I just need to be done with trains. I got to be done with trains so I can get back to BattleCon.
Sadly, it's not going to be done. You will continue to suffer. That's how life is all about.
It's true.
I mean, like, yeah. So that pretty much does it for our 99 questions segment. If you guys want to ask us more questions, or if you want Laura back on the show, she's great. Please tell us in the comment section down below, or just go to our Google Forms and submit your question there. So sadly, as much as it pains me, we have to end this episode of the Level Cap podcast. As much as I love having Laura around here so we can talk about languages and we can stop ourselves from swearing.
Yes, it's a struggle every day.
Every day. I mean, like, we won this battle, right? We didn't swear a single time.
I'm super proud of us right now.
Yeah, I'm super freaking proud. Oops, almost. Ooh. All right. Oh my goodness. If you guys have anything you want us to look at, you want us to partake in some sort of media, you want us to talk about a specific character, we will get to that as soon as Brad gets back, because goodness is that guy not yet here. I mean, like, that's all I can say. He said he was going to be on vacation. He's on vacation. All right. So without much else to say, thank you so much for watching. As usual, that's been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Critic, also known as Eminem Kami. And with me has been my awesome, splendiferous, and magaling na co-host na mahal siguro ng asawa niya.
Oh, I feel very special right now.
What's your name?
Oh,
you got.
Oh, Laura Levito. Hi.
Excellent. Right, Laura Levito. And this has been the Level Cap Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and good night, World of Indies. Thank you, and good night.
Happy gaming, please. Happy gaming.